Hello and welcome to a new venture for me. This is called Retro Tech. Now this is not Retro Tech, this is quite a new piece of tech. Today in Retro Tech we're looking at retro lighting and particularly on-camera lighting. This here is a 40 watt Zhiyun M45 rays. I was going through some of my old items and I came across this, and this is an Amaran light, and really what shows how old it is the back of it. So I'm going to talk about some old lights today. These are maybe 10 years old, these lights. So look at this. We have a battery indicator because in here I have standard AA batteries. These, by the way, are just standard zinc ion ones. They are not rechargeable ones at all. They're disposables. And I do have some batteries that might fit here, but when I tried to fit this in, it didn't work. So I think this needs a special Sony battery. Now here is my Sony battery. This is a Sony NP550. This can be used in loads of things, but annoyingly, it can't be used in this. It just doesn't seem to fit, which is infuriating. But it does fit into this one. Now this is a no brand. This might have been a newer or an equivalent. It's a CN160, whatever that means. And if I take this off, I can fit, you'll notice it's actually quite dusty in here. I can fit this into here. It's really tricky to get this in. This almost makes it sort of impossible to do anything with, and you end up pressing on this bit, which is potentially why it's been damaged. But aha, you can see, we know it's working because we've got a test light on. This sort of fits in, and then I can go over here and I can turn this on. Now, clearly I need to put this on because otherwise it falls out. So these lights, they're not as good as I'm currently used to. Even if I put this thing on, I think the battery would still fall out. So that's one of them. We'll come back to the brightness later. Now this is another battery. You might recognize this brand. This is from Manfrotto. Now this is an interesting battery because you can also use this as a photography flash. You can plug in one of the sync cables for older flashes. I think they're called PC sync cables. You can set it to flash mode so that when you take a photo, this fires. So this takes AAA batteries, and you can see it's on, but I have to keep bringing it up. So here we've got some light. It's really difficult to tell. We do have some light coming out of it, and here we can go sort of full power. This is quite rugged. I've got this hot shoe adapter or cold shoe adapter that I can put in different places, so I can have it vertical or portrait. And the idea is that all these lights go on top of your camera. That's the idea of them. They're on-camera lights, and they're really from the DSLR filming era. They're not particularly bright, and I'm just going to show you how bright they are not. So this is the 5 rays, and that is, I think, just over, that's maybe 1%. So this is 1%. This is maximum for this one. And this is maximum for this one. You can see we've got a lot of flickering here as well. So I'm just going to take off this diffusion panel. So I've taken off the diffusion panel. We can see that this is by far the weakest. If I went crazy and went all the way, increased it more, I mean, that's just ridiculous, isn't it? I might be damaging my camera sensor here. So I'm going to just try and put it on its lowest. Yeah, even on its lowest setting, it feels brighter than these two. This one's flickering. Now, it might not be the fault of the unit. It might be the batteries, because I've just put standard disposables in here. The disposables were, interestingly, brand new out of the packet. This too has disposables in. So you can see here, this has 6 AA's in. I think I've already shown you that. Now, this is tricky to get off, unfortunately. So you can see we've got 4 AA's here. These are a nightmare to get out. So we've got this cable, or ribbon really, to pull it out so we can start to get them out. But these were fresh from the packet, and already it's flickering. So this requires quite high power batteries. Normally I use rechargeables, but my rechargeables seem to be disappear. Well, they're not disappearing, they're just not working. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some AA's in here and we're going to do a comparison again. So I've now put 6 rechargeable batteries in here and it does work. I'm going to put this casing on. The test button, I don't think I could ever get this up to 4, so it's not brilliant. This doesn't even fit on, but I should now be able to turn this on and we can see we get quite good power output out of this. And this has already come off, so I'm just going to slide this off. We can see we've got all these LEDs here, and it's actually quite useful to have this on. Clearly things have got damaged because this is broken, but we want to protect the LEDs. The benefit here is this has a rechargeable battery, and all of these lights now, even cheap ones, not like the Xion M40, even just very, very cheap ones, come with their own internal rechargeable battery. But these older ones, well, they don't come with rechargeable batteries. They're not as bright, bulky, they're a bit low powered. I think these lights will give enough output that they can be used as background lights. They take rechargeable batteries, and it's a shame to throw them out, and definitely shouldn't be throwing out something that you can keep using. This is probably the best of the lot. It's annoying that I don't know what battery goes here, but this is probably the best of the lot. But yeah, lighting really has come on quite a lot from 10 years ago. So I just thought this would be really interesting video to do, comparing, like I say, the modern light that you get, and you don't even need to buy an expensive light to know it's better than these ones. Now this light costs between £25 and £40. It's a modern light and it charges over USB-C. We wouldn't really put it in the same league as this Xion M40 5 rays, but let's just have a turn on and let's look at how powerful it is. So this is currently set to 550k, it's 50%. This does RGB and it does effects. I mean, not that you really need that in a light, but it does. That is very, very bright. Let's just compare it to this light here. I would say, even though this has more LEDs, the LEDs are probably about the same level of brightness. This is definitely brighter, but this has a bigger area, it's softer. Let's just turn this one on. Again, probably a similar output from both of them. But the benefit of this light, this more modern light, other than it being rechargeable, is that it's bicolor and it can do RGB as well. And I'm only on 50%, so if I increase it to 100, probably I might outshine this one as well. I think we're getting to the stage where it's actually quite difficult to tell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the ISO for these tests. I'm going to drop it back to 100. So we are now at ISO 100. Let's put this on to full blast. So this is full blast. If I put it against my reflector, doesn't really make much difference to this. And let's put this on full blast again. And let's put this one on, set to maximum power. Again, we've got that strobing effect, which you probably won't be able to see in the video if you're using it as your light source. And full power. So definitely this is the brightest compared to these two. Now for me, I need a really bright light, because while you can see the lighting is quite good here, if I put this up to my camera so that I'm putting it on my hot shoe, it really doesn't make much of a difference. Even with this modern light at 100%, I'm just going to turn off the light that was illuminating. This hardly makes any difference. This certainly isn't enough light for what I'm recording. I need to bring this in, and potentially if I have a couple of these and I hold them above my camera, I can increase the light. So I'm holding them above my camera now. I've moved them away, holding them above my camera, moving them away. So if I'm on a very low ISO, I think a couple of these are going to help. But like I say, they're not really much use on their own. They've never been powerful enough, these old lights. And at the time when they came out, they certainly weren't powerful enough. The other issue as well with the older lights is the quality of light, I don't think is as good. When I bought all of these, actually, it was quite new technology. Nowadays, LEDs have improved a lot more and you get a much better quality of light and much better outputs of light, not in terms of brightness, but in terms of just light consistency. So definitely a really interesting thing to look at today, and I hope you found this useful. If you do like me doing like these retro videos on retro tech, do get in touch and let me know, because maybe I'll do some more. Thank you. Goodbye.